Now, you're here at Ryerson University, the home of entrepreneurship in Canada, and I wanted to talk to you about teaching entrepreneurship. I know that you and I have talked a lot before about what you wish people got out of school.
Yeah.
So for the sake of the audience and our teachers in the audience, what are the three things that you wish university taught better?
I happen to think that we need to start thinking about putting 3 courses, not reading, writing, and arithmetic, but 3 courses that I think
Three
should
courses
be,
at university mandatory.
well, I actually say grade 3, grade 6, grade 9, and grade 12 is where we start building the building blocks for these courses. And you'll understand the relevance in a moment. And by the way, it's not just university. It's every trade school. It's OCAD, ACAD, and it's welding schools. It's trade schools. These courses are as important to every single person's life education as any classes could be.
So these are the most important 3 courses, not that we're setting it up too much.
Yeah.
Course number 1.
Well, let me look it up. No, the number 1 is clearly marketing. I think the quality of the skills I see in the marketplace amongst people who've got degrees under their belt in terms of understanding marketing is atrocious. It's awful.
So when you say marketing, you're talking about personal marketing, communications. You're not just talking about the Naked Entrepreneur Show and putting out the URL www.nakedentrepreneur.tv. You're talking about a deeper sense of marketing. So what are you referring to?
Well, it's got to be done in an age-appropriate, context-appropriate way. But until you understand that a business card has 6 sides, you haven't even started to think about your business card. Until you realize that your resume is the most important marketing document you will ever prepare, you haven't started to think about marketing. I watch people put slideshows up, grown adults who put slideshows up and then read them to me. Just leave the room, leave me with the slides. I'll be fine, I can go at my own pace, and I'll bring you back if I have any questions when we're done. And I make fun of it, but we see it done by business professionals, academics, politicians, not understanding how to engage an audience. Consumer and buyer behavior was the class I happened to take. That's what it was called, and I'm sure most schools have some variation on it. But that class was twice as valuable as any other course I ever took. Understanding the basics of marketing, understanding post-purchase dissonance, understanding the value of goodwill, the value of a brand, studying logos, what's a good logo, what's not a good logo, debating whether milk should be on the eye-level shelf or which shelf, why bread's at the, why you place food in a certain area, why, again, all aspects of marketing. And now today we obviously add social media into it, and there's so many things to be studied.
So marketing is the first course. Let's go to course number 2.
Entrepreneurship.
Oh, near and dear to my heart.
It might be. Now, some argue you can't teach entrepreneurs. I kind of smile and say, all right, if the seeds are planted, you can for sure nurture them. That show Trading Places with Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, in her moments, but Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Brilliant show for the purpose of talking about, is it nature or is it nurture? And that whole debate. And again, the answer is, sure, I don't care. Let's nurture it. Let's start talking about the entrepreneurs in our nation. So it's not, in these classes, when I talk about the study of entrepreneurship, it's separating it. Most academic institutions have a course offering that's something like small business and entrepreneurship. Split. Take the word entrepreneurship and small business and separate them. Entrepreneurship happens to be often founded in small business, i.e. small business is a great way for entrepreneurs to start. But when Murray Edwards bought $1 billion worth of oil properties and then spent another $15 billion building an oil sands plant, that was extraordinarily entrepreneurial, and there was nothing small business about it. It was a mindset and an attitude. I sat with the dean of the business school at the University of Calgary who was pitching me on funding a multi-million-dollar program, and he sat flipping through slides, reading them to me. It was painful. And then I had a conversation with him. I said, well, you're offering a program called Entrepreneurship. And he said, yeah, if we call it entrepreneurship, Suncor won't hire our graduates. And my response then was, well, screw Suncor, because Canadian Natural and 20 other companies will, if the University of Calgary starts to graduate entrepreneurs who understand resources and taxation and the entrepreneurial side of building out a business. That's the people we want graduating. Those should be the people. And let Harvard fill Suncor's doors. I don't give a damn.
Oh, I agree. I mean, people say you can't teach entrepreneurship, but you can facilitate it. You can give students a safe place to learn it. You can give them a digital media zone to try things out in. You can do all sorts of things.
The whole concept of nurturing it. And I think as a society, in the academic world, we start to try and evaluate the outcomes too quickly. I don't want to know what the 1-year rate of starting business is for the kids who start entrepreneurship. I want to know what the 10 and 20-year rate is. I want them to go out and get real-world experience. Real-world experience always starts, in my mind, in the service industry. Till you've spilt beer on a client and still hope for a tip, you haven't really worked in the service side of, call it restaurants, but restaurants, bars, whatever involves interaction with people. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to develop social skills. But again, going back to the study of entrepreneurship, I watch our Prime Minister right now, in a most extraordinarily entrepreneurial way, run the Prime Minister's office. I disagree with him on lots of things, but I love the way he's taken a very entrepreneurial approach. So, and studying examples of real life people, and I'm not talking about the Irvings and the McCains and Pattisons and Edwards and Richardsons, the high profile names, all great names. I'm talking about the people who are doing real jobs with real businesses and real examples that are very achievable.
Now, Brett, you talked about marketing, you talked about entrepreneurship. What is the third course in the magic Brett Wilson education?
Well, I happen to believe that philanthropy is good business. So the study of philanthropy, the whole debate and discussion about how to do it in a creative and entrepreneurial way. There's all sorts of discussions about proper naming, legacy rights, the intergenerational wealth transfer, helping, kids in grade 3 don't know they can't change the world because as adults, we haven't got to them yet. Let them change the world, encourage them. There's so many things that could be done. And that's why I talk about these things all being taught in an age-appropriate, context-appropriate way. And I genuinely believe that the first curriculum, or the first group of students to pop out of any educational institution that's got all those 3 classes under their belt is going to generate a different caliber of student. A different caliber. And I'm not talking about a school where they offer these programs, I'm talking about where it's core curriculum.
Integrated
because
in
unless
everything.
it becomes part of their psyche, unless it's integrated, it's not relevant.